In this video, I'm going to show the solution for assignment 1, the database assignment. So I have Microsoft Access already open. The first thing that you need to do is to import the 3 tables. So if you click on External Data, Import from Excel, you will need to go and find the 3 files. So there's 3 files to import. There's the donor file, first row does contain column headings. The donor ID is a unique value, so we're going to say no duplicates. We can choose our own primary key because the donor ID is unique. Import into the donor table. Alright, and then we can do the next table, which is the fund table. Same thing, first row contains column headings. The fund table also has a unique key, the fund account, so we're going to say to index that. We're going to choose our primary key, which will also be the fund code field. Probably when I graded the assignments, the primary key was one of the mistakes that several students made. So when you got to here, all right, so in this case, this was a little bit tricky because the pledge ID actually is a unique ID that can be used within this table. I noticed that some of you used the pledge ID, others had Access create a primary key. In this case, the index, it says no index. I think probably whichever way you did this was fine. I'm going to go ahead and say that we are going to index it because it has no duplicates. And then I'm going to choose that pledge ID is the primary key. But many of you went ahead and had Access create a primary key and did it this way. Either way should be fine. The key is when you create the relationships between the tables, you'd have to make sure that you use the right field. So anyway, so now we have our 3 tables imported. So that was really the easy part. If we click on Database Tools and go to Relationships, we want to use all 3 of our tables in the relationships. And I'm going to put the pledge table in the middle because that uses both of these other tables. And so the key here is really to drag and drop donor ID to donor ID. And we want to enforce referential integrity and to drag fund code to fund code. This was probably the most common mistake that I saw made, that one, you didn't create the referential integrity, or you linked fund code to some other field here, or you created, many of you created another key, primary key, that was generated by Access either in the fund table or the donor table, and then you tried to link that, say, to the fund code, and then that doesn't create the right relationship. All right, the next part is to create the query. So we're going to go into Query Design, and let's see, we need, I'm trying to remember, I think it was just donor and pledge table were the only 2 that we needed. And if you have your relationship set up right, that should carry through to here. That was the other thing that I saw, is when you didn't have this set up right in the first place, it carried through to your query and caused issues here. So we want to have, I don't remember what all the fields were, but one of them was last name, and then I know that we also wanted the pledge amount in here. I think we also ask for first name as well. So we'll stick first name, last name, total pledge. I don't remember what the other fields were, but this gives you a general idea. And then we want to, a couple of things that we want to happen here is, let's see. The next thing that we want to do is we need to be able to get the totals on the pledge, because we want to see the total for all the pledges. For example, if I were to run this query now, you'll see that there's 28 rows. And so this is another common mistake that some of you made, was you turned it in like this. And so for example, we see Karen Bartkus has two entries, one for 1,000 and one for 150. We want those to be totaled together. We only want to see one entry for Karen Bartkus. Actually, there's three here. So if we come back to our design view and we click up here on the totals, that enables us to group by, and then we're going to do a sum on the total pledge. So it's going to group by first name, last name, and then it's going to sum the pledge amount. If we run that now, you'll see that we only have 22 rows, and Karen Bartkus is summed at 1,300. So that is the way that you would want that to work. If you go back to your design view, the other thing that a few people forgot to do is the sorting. So we want to sort by last name. If we go and run it, now you'll see that it's actually sorted by the last name. And then the last thing is to do a grand total. And so now if you click on this totals column right here, it'll add another row down here. You can select the down arrow and say sum, and that will sum up all the values from that table. So there's a total of 22 people that made pledges, and this column here sums the total amount for all of their pledges together for the total of 9,575.